Hello, today we're going to look at modal verbs. So modal verbs might have been something we've already covered in class and we're just having a refresher on it. You might be using this to support with your homework. Or perhaps this is the first time you've come across the term modal verbs. So you're watching this video first before we undertake some work on it. Either way, please watch the video really carefully, watch it through as many times as you need to, and then have a go at any work I ask you to do afterwards. So, it's important to know that modal verbs are a type of auxiliary verb. Now, that's a long word, auxiliary, but nothing to be afraid of. Okay, so modal verbs are a type of auxiliary verb. An auxiliary verb just basically means that they are not the most important verb in the sentence. They're an extra verb in the sentence. They're helper verbs which support the main verb. Okay, so within your sentence you will have verbs which are your doing words like play and run and jump and walk and speak, and they will be your main verbs in the sentence. But auxiliary verbs are extra verbs in that sentence, which you may not even recognise as verbs up until this point, and they're there to support your main verb. They're used to indicate which tense the writing is in as well. So what does modal mean? So we know that modal verbs are a type of auxiliary verb, which are not the main verb in the sentence, and that they support the main verb. But what exactly is a modal verb? Well, nice and simply, modal verbs indicate how likely something is to happen or suggest the possibility of something happening. And they are words you use all of the time. You will already be using them in all your sentences and reading them in sentences, but you just may not be aware that they are called modal verbs. So examples: could, should, will, can, might, must, ought, may and shall are all modal verbs. And the opposite of them, the inverse of them as well, are modal verbs. So couldn't, shouldn't, won't, can't, mustn't, shan't, they are all modal verbs as well. As I say, you're probably feeling some relief coming across you that these are words you already use all of the time, but you need to understand that they are called modal verbs and how they work in the sentence. So, if we go on, this slide says, can you spot the modal verb? I've shared with you that they are a word, they're a verb that indicates how likely something is to happen or the possibility of something happening, and that they're not the most important verb in the sentence. So if we have a look at these sentence by sentence, can you spot the modal verb in each sentence? So, I will go to the cinema tomorrow. Can you spot the modal verb? It's the word which indicates how likely you are to do the verb. Can you spot it? Good. Hopefully you spotted will. What about I might play netball next year? I can't remember my password. He would say that. Or we shall understand what a modal verb is. In those sentences, have a look at them now one by one. Can you spot the word which indicates how likely that thing is to happen? And hopefully you've found that might, can't, would and shall are your modal verbs in these sentences. So they're your helper verbs, they indicate tense, and they indicate the possibility of the verb happening. Okay, we're going to go and have some practice of modal verbs now, but before we do, I've just put little checks at the bottom there. So we've highlighted the modal verbs in the sentence, and we've said that they are the helper verbs, that they're not the main verb. So can you now spot the main verb in each sentence? Check says, what is the most important verb in the sentence? So just have a look. In I will go to the cinema tomorrow, I might play netball next year, I can't remember my password, or he would say that. And finally, we shall understand what a modal verb is. What is the most important verb in each sentence? So we're looking at go, play, remember, say and understand. They are our most important verbs in the sentence, but our modal verbs that we've highlighted there play a very important role too, and they indicate how likely those verbs are to happen. Okay, so thank you again for listening, and let's have a go at some work on that.